this guest.
Cast the Craze is partnered with NSC Roadshow. NSCLiveTV.com and Inc. Marketing are proud to present the NSC Roadshow podcast tour. As a creator, come to be treated like a rock star as we take you on a tour with podcasters from around the world. Got a Kickstarter, Indiegogo, or a project you would like to tell thousands about? Come and get on the tour. Are you a podcaster that would like more creators on your show? Come become a tour stop on the tour.
What's up, George? What's going on in the House of Craze today?
In the House of Craze, we have Mr. Jim Tanner. He is the author, creator of Dig Two Graves. It's on Indiegogo right now, so check it out.
Let's get it!
We are the only show for independents all around, giving you a platform to spread your word all over town. Catch the Craze is the place to promote to your fans with the dream of Medina and Sam the Crazy Man. Subscribe to our show and never miss an episode. It's time to get your mans, listen to us on the go. Updated every week, we never miss a day. Join the squad, come on in. It's time to catch the Craze. If you are an independent, catch the Craze. Making moves on your own, catch the Craze. On your grind in the streets, catch the Craze. Join the movement, catch the Craze.
Yeah, George, we did it again. Come on now. You know you want to do it. Catch the Craze.
Welcome to Catch the Craze Podcast. I am your host with the most, Sam the Crazy Man Farrah, and I am with
George, the Dreamer, Medina. What's happening, Sam?
Set it off on the left, yo. Set it off on the right, yo. Set it off. Come on now, set it off. Remember that?
Nope.
You don't remember that? You want this
Come on,
party
Sam,
started,
I'm
right?
as old as you. How am I not going to remember that? That's
No,
a classic, brother.
No. I'm not as old as you.
What's going on, everyone?
I don't know,
Welcome
but
to another exciting episode of Catch the Craze.
Yeah.
We are live.
We're alive. There's like a red hue going on over here.
You got a red hue?
Yeah, it's
Yeah, you got a lot of reds going on over
yeah.
there.
Oh.
For those who are joining us for the first time, please subscribe, hit that like button, throw some comments down there. Let us know what you think of the show. And we're going to be talking today to crowdfunding campaign.
Yes, Jim Tanner.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Jim Tanner,
dig
he's got
two
an Indiegogo campaign.
graves. Dig two graves.
That's right. I don't know why you're coming in low on my headset.
Am I? Can you hear my dogs barking?
Yeah. No, I don't hear that.
Because I can hear them.
I could
They
barely
sound
hear anything
crazy.
outside of just you.
Yeah, you know what it was? Because when we were playing the intro, my mic fell.
Oh, nice.
I was like, oh, earthquake!
Yeah, so that's going on today. But what's going on over there, Sammy? What you got going on in Texas?
Oh, Texas is hot, caliente. Yo,
Caliente?
yeah, you know, HOA's acting up. The heat is crazy. But we had the exterminator come and deal with all the spiders, bro. The spiders were real. You know, they were not playing, bro. I mean, I had to put on the S to deal with those damn spiders. But yeah, it's been a trip. But we're down to 3 days left on for Forbidden on Indiegogo, the catch-up campaign. So if you have not pledged already to Forbidden on Indiegogo, why don't you go and take the time right now? We'll sit here and we'll wait while you do that. So here it is. Boom. Here's the link right there. So Forbidden on Indiegogo, epic fantasy series. It is a 6-part mini-series which will be collected into a 170-page graphic novel next year. We are on the second issue. This issue is 27 pages of fantastic art by none other than Anibal, the animal of Royos. He's killing it on it. And let me here's the logo. There's the logo. Peep the logo. And Dina killing it with the lettering. And the colors were done by Barbara, who's fantastic. So you got a lot of talented people working on this project. If you haven't checked out Forbidden already, please do so and head over to Indiegogo. It is the last 3 days of the campaign, and we still haven't made the goal. Although we made the goal on Kickstarter, this is the catch-up campaign for those of you who never got it and forgot to pledge on Kickstarter. Here's your time. I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you. You know, you said you wanted to get it on Kickstarter. It ended. You're like, oh, man, my bad. So I did it on Indiegogo for you. So come and play. Get a copy of Forbidden issue 0 and 1 now because issue number 2 goes live November 1st on Kickstarter.
At this point, don't even pledge because it's good. Pledge because you like Sam. He's a nice guy. He's got a great smile, personality to get. And look at him. Look at him. He's just, hey, man, you know? So don't even do it just because the book is great, but do it because, you know, you want to support Sammy. Sammy boy.
Come on, let's
so
do it.
All you Sam fans out there.
Do
get
it
in
to
there,
satisfied what it is.
Support.
Yeah, support your brother, man. After a 34-hour drive with Johnny Syfax to Texas, I think I deserve a couple of pledges here and there. Just a couple. What I'm talking, you know what I'm saying? You know, that was a trip. And if you haven't checked out the saga of Sam, the Crazy Man, and Jonathan, the Psycho Syfax, on the road to Texas, that drive that we took with 4 dogs as they were all throwing up in the car, pooping and peeing, and John with his nerves every time a truck, because we took the truckers route, and so we avoided all tolls. We were just surrounded by thousands of truckers, and you know, much props to all you truckers out there. They're so respectful and aware, and they drive safely. And thank you guys. And at one point that I feel any nerves at all. Johnny was a little nervous every time they got close. He swerved. You know, so he had to work on that because he hasn't driven in 10 years. But yeah, it was cool. It was a good drive to Texas, and today the heat is on. Ain't playing. The studio's done. Look out for the unveiling. The unveiling will be out next week for the new setup. So check that out. You can get a glimpse right now of what it looks like, but you'll get the full tour. I'll walk you through the process from the beginning to end, like I did with the original studio back in Jersey.
Nice. Yeah. Coming off a long weekend this weekend, Labor Day weekend.
Yeah. How was yours?
That was cool. The weather here in New York, thanks for asking, Sam, it's not so bad. It's not so bad. It's actually nice. It's been nice, actually. It rained a couple of times. I mean, Ida kicked our ass, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there were tons of cars underwater. There were a lot of highways that were flooded. Yeah. So hopefully everybody who was affected by it, you guys are okay. And it was just material things and not anybody's lives that were lost. And it's crazy out of nowhere, man. Out of nowhere. We don't have the infrastructure to withstand water like this. It was raining like you wouldn't believe.
But that's the politicians' fault.
Yeah. So
because Hurricane Sandy, they begged for the money. Where did that money go? Where'd it go? Right? You know, and they should have worked on our infrastructure. They should have prepared for it. You know, we take things for granted. I mean, my handyman was at because my house in Jersey is on the market right now, and so he had to go and do some repairs because my basement got flooded from that whole storm, and so he was there today with my sister, addressing those concerns. But it was bad. A lot of people, it's a shame that at this point, with all these weather patterns, that we're not built to handle crises in the U.S.
Yeah. So it was nice. I mean, the weather was nice. It was weird to see the day after the storm how nice the weather got. It was kind of crazy, but everything seems to be back to normal. I was able to go catch Shang-Chi in the movie theaters.
Yeah, what's that about?
And that was good. It was a good flick. Good job by Marvel. Very nice.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. Martial arts, the sequences, the martial arts choreography was freaking incredible. Dude.
Yeah, I just caught up with Marvel's been killing it. I just caught up with What If. I'm down to the last 15 minutes of number 4. I'm only watching it because of the nerds. And who knows?
Are you going back on?
Who knows when they're gonna do a pop quiz or something? And they pop up out of nowhere and like, riddle me this. And so I'm like, yo.
Big shout out to our friends over at the Nerds of the Round. If you don't follow them, go to their YouTube channel. Nerds of the Round is the name of their channel, and it's Sebastian, Law, and Tone from across the hall. We had him on last week, and we were just going back and forth. It was great. It was great.
Well, welcome, Arielis.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think you can ever be ready for the nerds. So those guys are walking encyclopedias. The thing is, they are mainstream experts. You know what I'm saying? So, I read independent comic books, and they're going to.
They know their independent stuff.
Yeah?
They know their independent stuff.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Oh, they're all, dude, they are versed in all levels of nerdom.
All
like, they
right.
just
So
know
I'm
all
gonna
that
I'm gonna
stuff.
I'm gonna have to test that knowledge.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna throw something from 1972, then but...
Yo, he's throwing shades.
Oh, you crazy?
He threw shade. He said,
I
he goes,
know.
you can't be throwing those tablets that Moses was carrying. He goes, yo, I know, he's acting up. Yo,
Big shout out to her.
Oh,
she loves their discussions. They're great
yeah,
discussions.
speaking of that,
Nice guys.
speaking of, so you know that I moved to Texas, right? So for 6 weeks, I didn't work out. Yo,
Damn.
when it makes a huge difference as you're getting older. Because, dude, yesterday was my first day to work out. So I set up, Sunday, I spent the whole day from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. setting up my garage, putting all the gym equipment back together. Because I broke everything down into little parts. So I had to put everything, my squat rack, my power tech, everything. Only to find out that my stationary bike is broken. I'm like, damn. So, but it broke on the way. So, yo, it was as if I never worked out in my life. It was so painful and I was so exhausted. And I was like, why does it hurt? I haven't even lifted yet. I was like, this is crazy. I feel weak. Yo, and maybe because I was just going and eating crap. Like my diet changed for this whole move because I was just doing nothing but packing and loading and on the phones with realtors and the banks and all this other crap and doing all this crazy stuff. Yo, it was like, oh my God, I feel like I'm 100 years old. This sucks. Yes, I know. I stretch, believe me. And then that's the other thing. Like, normally I just go in. I'm like, ugh, I go in. Now, I was like, yo, even jumping rope for like 2 minutes, my legs felt like 500 pounds. I was like, yo, why do I can't even jump? I was like, yo,
you have to stretch. I remember playing basketball when I was like in my 20s and 30s, going out. We wouldn't go out to the park until midnight.
That was like what,
all night.
25 years ago, right?
This was ages ago, 25 years, I wish. And so it would be nothing, bro. I would be playing in the cold weather, nothing, none of it. I wake up the next morning, go to school, go to work, whatever. Like, it was nothing. Now, dude, I got to walk outside. I got to stretch real quick.
Yo, everything hurt. I was like, yo, I couldn't believe it. Like, I had to take it easy on myself. I was like, what the fuck? Excuse my language. This is bullshit, right? So I'm like, nah. So this morning I got up. I did my tries and my buys. And yesterday I did chest and shoulders. I did my shoulders because my shoulders have been acting up, and sometimes when I lift, it hurts, and then when I sleep, it locks up.
Son.
And when I sleep, it locks up, and my arm falls asleep. It's horrible. It's horrible.
Those injuries are terrible. Those shoulder injuries.
Oh, it's like I don't need this right now in my life. It's like this is ridiculous. So I spent working on my rotator cuff, getting everything back to normal. I said, you know what? In 2 weeks, I should start feeling good where I can put the 350 back on because I didn't even want to go near 350. I was doing like maybe 225 and I stood there. It was safe for me because it felt heavy. And normally I don't start feeling heavy till I get to the threes. And I'm like, yo, 225 felt heavy for me. I'm going to slow down here. 6 weeks. It only took 6 weeks for me to be a punk. That's it. 6 weeks. It's horrible. It takes. Horrible. So my advice to everybody else: if you're working out, don't stop. If you have a good nutritional diet, don't change it. I went to donuts and coffee, and I screwed my whole metabolism up, and so my body's like, you know what? That's what you get, punk. And so I have to rebuild and heal.
Yeah, man, you guys should have packed some lunches.
You know what it was? So I went and got us both tuna sandwiches, right? And because that was the only thing that was at the deli and at Whole Foods. And they weren't making sandwiches. So we get into the car, and John's like, 15 minutes into the drive, he's like, I don't know if I'm going to eat it because I don't want to have to go to the bathroom. And I'm like, so he screwed me up. He's like, because the mayo. And I'm like, oh, so I didn't want to eat mine. I said, what if it has an effect on me? So we never ate it. And that was freaking $12 down the drain. It stood underneath the car for the 34-hour drive, so we had to dump it. And so we just stood on coffee and donuts because it was safe. He drank Coca-Cola and donuts, and I had coffee and donuts because none of us wanted to get that stomach, rumbling, and you have to stop in the middle of nowhere and use an outhouse or something. And so it was like, nah, it's all right. We're gonna pass.
Yeah.
Mess me up.
Interesting little trip you guys took. And for those who are just joining us, Sam and Jonathan Syfax, they drove all the way from New Jersey to Texas in 1 or 2 nights. How long did it take you guys?
We left 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time from New Jersey on a Monday, and we got here 1 a.m. Wednesday, Central Time, and 34 hours in total. 34 hours.
34 hours.
I didn't sleep once. I slept for 35 minutes. That was the most I got sleep, and it was the only reason why it happened. Because every time I went into the passenger seat to sit down, my dogs jumped over, and they wouldn't let me go to sleep. So I was driving with Johnny, and I was doing about 90, and it's nighttime, or I forgot what, and I'm doing about 90, and I realized that I was driving with my eyes closed. I was like, I could have just ended this right here. So I looked at Johnny and said, you need to stay awake. You need to talk to me. Because he was mouth open. He's just enjoying sleep. And I was like, Johnny, you have to stay awake. I said, you know what? And then after a minute, my head's bopping. I was like, John, I need you to take the wheel. So he took the wheel, and I got 35 minutes of sleep. But then it felt like I slept for a month because I felt good. I was like, all right, good. So I drove the rest of the 5 hours.
Yeah, all our young listeners listening to the podcast right now, that is not the way to take a road trip. If you guys are taking a road trip with your friends, make sure you guys spend the night somewhere, get some sleep. Do not drive 90 miles an hour on a highway with a bunch of trucks. Spend a little bit, take the route that has the
Life is a highway.
I mean,
No,
don't risk your lives. It's not worth it.
No, it was a 75 mile an hour speed limit. So when you're in the left lane, no one's doing 75.
Yeah, but when you're driving with your eyes closed 90 miles an hour, that is about 130 miles an hour.
Yeah, I didn't realize. That's because he was sleeping. And normally your co-pilot's supposed to be talking to you so you don't fall asleep. He was knocked out.
But the whole point, here's the thing, there's only 2 of you. So one has to sleep while the other one drives.
Just the 2 of us.
You guys didn't really plan this thing out.
Listen, just the 2 of us.
Next time you're taking a road trip, okay, let me know so that I don't go with you guys. Because you guys do not know how to take road trips.
Yo,
this is ridiculous.
What the hell's going on with my camera? Stay still. The autofocus, that damn autofocus. Yo, it's like, what the?
You got autofocus? Oh, snap.
Yeah. No, see, we had 4 dogs, so I couldn't sleep. Normally, we were gonna do that. If I didn't have the 4 dogs, and I swear to you, when I was driving, they were fine in the back. As soon as they saw me go in the passenger seat, they knew, and my hands weren't on the wheel. They jumped over, plop, and then they just, and then one throwing up on the coffee, where you put the coffee cups.
Damn,
they hurled. Every single one of them. It got to the point, the last 8 hours of the drive, I just gave them nothing but water because no matter what I gave them, they hurled it. And they were getting motion sickness. What up, Gilly in the house?
What's up, Gilly?
Yeah, it was like you ever seen that? What was that movie? What was that movie where the first person throws up and then the other one threw up and then the other one they all start throwing up? Is that like a pie eating contest or some shit? And someone throws up at a festival. That's what it was in the back. Those dogs were always just hurling. And then my little one would never go potty. No matter, we stopped 6 times to walk them. He was the only one that didn't want. So he decided to drop it like it's hot inside. So I'm looking, I thought it was Johnny. Because I was like, I know we smell because we've been down 34 hours. So I'm like, I can smell it. And so I'm like, oh, Johnny, is that you?
I love dogs, bro. I would have thrown your dogs out the window.
So here's the worst part of it, right? So we're on the highway. I'm doing 90. So now I have to I have to slow down and go to the what do you call it? The divider.
Shoulder.
The shoulder, right? So I have to. I mean, it's a trucker's route, so I have to pull over, go slow down, get under the divider, and then I have to go and clean it up. Well, in my haste, one of it dropped on my hand. So I had a nugget. I was like, nah! And so we're in the middle of the highway, and I'm like, we're like miles away from the next exit. And I'm like, yo, so Johnny's like, yo, the bottle of water. So Johnny's holding the water, spilling it on my hand, and I'm like, with the tissue trying to clean it. I was pissed. And one threw up so bad that when I thought it was just regular throw up, I thought it was just a layer. When I went, it was like a scoop of like, it was just like an ocean
Anybody
of
having
vomit.
dinner while they're watching this episode, we apologize for the grotesque description that we had. I mean, I think we got it when you said he threw up.
Yo, it was horrible. It was horrible. And then I got a video when I look back at them. Their eyes are watery. They're all like this.
They hate you. They hated you. They're like, what are you doing? Why are we moving so much? Where are we going, dog? So let me ask you a question. What kind of covering was on your car? Like, did you have like some kind of seat covers, some kind of like covers?
Oh yeah. So we had underneath them we had this layer that's gonna protect anything from seeping through. Then we had a thick quilt. Then we had poo-poo pads on top. So we had like multiple layers of stuff.
What was on the carpet?
No, the seats dropped. So for the back seats drop, it was a Land Rover. So it drops and it was flat. So there was not we had a layer. You know the car protector. It's like this thick layer thing that it protects from water going through.
So anyways, they were in the trunk. They were in the trunk space.
They were in the back seat and trunk of the Land Rover. So we dropped the seats, so they had that back space. Yeah.
So they were basically just swishing all in the back of the Land Rover. As you're doing 90 miles an hour, these little dogs are just bouncing back and forth in the back.
Bow?
And you wonder
Bow,
why
wow.
they threw up. Oh my God. This was not thought out properly.
Nah, the worst part is I thought, because I had the worst part, yeah, it gets worse. So I had my iMac in a box. I realized I didn't strap it down, so I made a turn, and next you know, it tumbled on them, and the little ones are buried. So I had to pull over and get out and re-strap it down so it didn't fall over on top of them. And then my Papillon, my older dog, he fell through the side between the door and the seat, and he's under there like this. Like, oh. I'm like, yo, they had it rough. It was bad. Poor guys. I'm sorry.
34 hours of this.
34 long hours, and I had insomnia. And we got here at 1 in the morning, fell asleep at 2, woke up at 7, and unloaded 2 pods in 7 hours, just me and John.
Yeah, John. I mean, Sam,
Jonathan's bicep was looking swollen. Yo, he was just sitting there, wasn't even flexing. He was just reading, and you just see this big knot hanging from his arm. I'm like, damn.
So did he get stronger since he's been working out at the gym?
Probably not.
I mean, did he help you out though? Like, I mean.
No. He was still complaining about, we're not lifting it up the stairs, are we?
I think he's just a lazy strong man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's just strong, but he's just kind of like, I don't really want to do this.
Yeah. So with that said, I see that our guest is in the waiting room right now. So he is early. So we do have a new promo. I'm going to run, and then we'll bring in our guest, Jim Tanner, in, and we're going to talk about his campaign. So where's my new promo? It is right here.
Are you sitting at home wondering how you're going to spread the word about that Comic-Con that you're about to appear at, and you want to get some press? How about your first book signing? How do you spread the word so you can get an audience there? Or that first panel at a Comic-Con? Who do you talk to? Or even your first crowdfunding on Kickstarter or Indiegogo? The world is turning to podcasting to get the word out. Why not you? Sponsor an episode of Catch the Craze and start promoting yourself today.
All right. Start promoting yourself today. And we are bringing in our guest. There he is, the man of the hour. What's up, buddy?
There it is. What's going on, Jim? Still connecting.
Okay. Yeah, I see that.
There you go.
What's
Hey,
up?
can you guys hear me?
Yeah, perfect. What's going on, Jim? How you doing?
No, not too much, not too much. So
Nice.
I haven't used Zoom in a long time since work, so I was like, oh, I got to think about this one for a second.
Well, listen, nice to meet you. I'm George. That's Sam. I'm sure you know Sam there. Welcome to Catch the Craze, man. Thank you for coming on. Appreciate
Thank you
it.
for having me. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Absolutely. We were doing some reading here on your campaign, Dig to Graves. Cool titles. The graphic novel looks like 2 issues, 84 pages worth of stuff here. But before we go into the campaign, why don't you tell our listeners, our watchers, a little bit about Jim, who you are, how you got started in this crazy business.
Big comic book fan since I was a kid. I started writing my first comics when I was probably about 8 or 9. But when I actually started getting serious was around 2006, 2008, somewhere in there when I started writing, reaching out to artists and getting my first books out there. So that's kind of what I've been doing since then. It's a slow grind when it's just yourself, but it's always worth it.
Oh yeah. So let me ask you this: as a 9-year-old, what were you writing? What was the subject matter that you were writing about at 9?
I was writing my own X-Men comics.
Nice.
So essentially, I was writing the stuff that I thought I wanted to see. So like they'd be like 4 pages long. They're not incredibly deep, and then I would go and try to draw them. So, and in one issue, I literally would kill off like Wolverine, and then he'd be back within 4 pages. That's how quick they were.
Nice.
So they have gotten a little bit longer since then, though. So my scripts are a little bit bigger than 4 pages now.
Good. So you're a big X-Men fan.
I was, yeah. I was. That's what got me into comics was X-Men, the Chris Claremont run, and then of course when Jim Lee and Image and all that popped up, that's when I went overboard with it.
Oh yeah,
Nice.
big time.
Nice.
And you had something?
No. I was just looking up his profile.
Yeah, no, that's cool, man. Yeah, no, those X-Men runs. Chris Claremont, that was just classic. Would you say that some of that writing shaped the way you write today, or who are some of the influences that have shaped the writer that you've become? I mean, Dig to Graves looks a little deep. So tell me about your influences as a writer.
For comic wise, I was a big fan of like Garth Ennis, and then like everybody, Neil Gaiman. I love Chris Claremont, but a lot of my stuff isn't traditional superhero stuff. I try to keep stuff grounded in reality. So, or at least I like to keep it gritty. That's why, like I said, like Garth Ennis is very, his darker stuff or just over the top. I necessarily don't go that far myself, but I always liked somebody pushing boundaries in the comics. Didn't see that a lot there for a while.
What made you go away from it? What made you go away from superhero stuff? Like what was it?
I got to the point where I kind of like seeing a beginning and an end to a story, and then when it's superheroes, it feels like it's always ongoing. It never ends. Like even if somebody dies, they're going to come back. And I always wanted to see a story. So with Dig to Graves itself, it's only going to run 12 issues. The story will conclude at 12, and that's it. And I think I just prefer that. At least with my stories, I always usually have an ending in mind. So I only have one ongoing series that's in the works now. And even then, I'm sure if I had to think about it, I could count how many issues till it would end if I wanted it to go that route.
Outside of comics, were you an avid reader? And if so, what was it? What were some of the things that you wrote?
Say that again?
Outside of comic books, were you an avid reader? Any prose, any writers outside of comics that you were a fan of?
Yeah, and again, Neil Gaiman. And I was a big J.R. Tolkien nerd growing up, so I loved the Lord of the Rings series. I loved The Hobbit, and then, of course, when the movies came out, I was a huge fan.
Yeah.
When I got into high school, I started to start writing movie scripts. And I started to really enjoy reading scripts from like guys like Quentin Tarantino, later on, and just early drafts of movies that, when you see them and then you see what the writer originally intended for the story and how much it changed from the, that concept to when it was actually realized on the screen.
Right.
But yeah, literature, just for writing, the best advice I always give is just read lots, read as much as you can. If you like comics, read lots of comics, read lots of, different authors, and just, try to find, what interests you and then go from there.
So what turned you on to script writing?
I was always also a big fan of movies. So like I said, I always liked that process. Again, that's kind of why I got back into comic book writing. was at the time, your chances of getting a screenplay made are pretty slim unless you're going out and doing it yourself. That wasn't feasible for me. But I realized with the comic medium, it was something I really enjoyed, and I could actually tell the stories I wanted to tell in a visual medium that, is very unique. And that's kind of what brought, kind of how I merged those two worlds together, I guess.
No, it gives you the liberty to basically write, without budgets in mind when it comes, when you think about a movie, what a budget would be. What was some of your favorite screenplays that you've read or that you found, wow, man, what a difference between the movie and the screenplay? Like, was there anything that stood out to you when you started doing that kind of research?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the Alien franchise, the multiple scripts that they came out with just after Aliens, into Alien 3, all the concepts they had and what just got nixed. Like I mentioned earlier, Quentin Tarantino, if you read the original Kill Bill script, you can see concepts that he had involve extra characters and totally different scenes that he just nixed. And it's a good way too to see how other writers would do that and see how it flows, because editing is the hardest part. You get really attached to your story, you get really attached to characters, and it's hard to say, all right, this scene's got to go, because it's holding up the works here. So it's kind of good to see how those kind of creators do that, how they go about editing and what they think should stay and what should go.
Do you have a hard time kind of getting rid of your baby, so to speak?
Oh, I do. Yeah, I work with an editor, so that helps too. Because I'll get too involved and if it's a scene that it's just going to get cut completely, I usually just kind of store it in its own little folder where I got snippets of stories. I'll use it at some point, but I don't know when. And even if I don't, at least I feel like it's safe just in case. But yeah, it's hard to do that. Like I said, that's when people ask me for best thing for a writer. I said, is find a good editor. Not just grammar and spelling, that's important too, but somebody who's willing to take the pen to the content and do a hard edit. Friends will generally be really nice and say, oh yeah, I liked it. And that's not very helpful. Everybody likes it, even if they don't, because they just don't want to say something. So you need somebody who's going to give you those hard opinions.
Yeah.
Right. Did you have any, did you have any formal training in writing, growing up?
No, nothing outside of just, school and college. So, but no, I'm not any sort of professional writer, and I'm very upfront. I read the same books everybody else does on writing, screenplay writing, everything. And I try to, adhere to all the rules, the 3-story act structure. And again, I work with editors who kind of clean up some of my sloppiness, but just lots of writing and hoping to get better with each one.
Yeah. Do you write full scripts, Jim, or do you do is it the DC method or is it the Marvel method?
So when I first got seriously into writing comics, I started looking for comic scripts, and what I found was, whereas with movie scripts, they're very rigid, the format, the layout's very specific. But with comics, it felt like there was a lot more open-endedness, like you're saying, depending on the writer you looked at, I saw different scripts, the layout for everyone. So I just kind of took the best of what I saw and just kind of created my own. Because since I'm working with artists who I'm outsourcing paint to, a lot of them don't necessarily want to have to think about what to draw. They just want to know so they can get to it. So I always found it was better to lay out every panel individually and be very specific on the angle. I still tell them, take what looks best, right. But I think they like having, just tell me what I need to draw so I can go draw it. So that's kind of how my scripts have been catered to.
I got you. Yeah, no, awesome, man. Awesome. And I know that before you came to Indiegogo, you had 2 very successful campaigns on Kickstarter for the book that you currently have of Indiegogo. So what made you go from Kickstarter to Indiegogo?
So I've been using Kickstarter for a few years now, and I've always enjoyed it. But I do know, and I'm especially learning more so now as I'm on Indiegogo, there seems to be 2 distinct audiences who will only use one or the other.
Right.
So I'm trying to give an opportunity to both audiences to have a chance at it. Also, I was kind of interested in just trying Indiegogo. I'd never used them. I know they have a store option, so I wanted to kind of check that out, or I guess an in-demand or something to that effect. So for this one, we made it a little bit different. So I wanted the people who did the Kickstarter to feel like they got something unique, and that for people on Indiegogo, they're getting something different as well. So for the Kickstarter, we did the floppies with all the variant covers. It feels like there was 1 million of them, but But so for this one, we wanted to keep it pretty streamlined. Doing just the graphic novel, like you said, it's the first 2 books combined, which is over 80 pages, and then I'm gonna put a ton of extras in there, art, concept art, possibly some preview pages for either the next book or whatever I can cram in there. So it's gonna be probably well over 100. And then like I said, we kept it simple, just that, and then some mini poster sets for people to choose from. Because like I said, again, I wanted each experience to feel unique to everybody. Plus, it was first time trying Indiegogo, so I wanted to kind of keep it simple as I learn. So, and it's been definitely a learning process as I go. The audiences are a lot different in how to find them than they are for each other. So,
see, but this is the thing. We have this discussion with Sam on the show all the time about the 2 crowdfunding campaigns, right? Or platforms, I should say. And for me, I think that the thing that separates the 2 is as simple as just an app. Like I'm on my phone constantly, and if I'm on Kickstarter, I'm just scrolling through campaign after campaign after campaign. Where with Indiegogo, I have to go into their website and search for things. It's not just a simple, flip your finger up and down. There it is. So I think that and you're right. There is an audience for both, because we have seen some campaigns that have done crazy amounts on Indiegogo. So you have to kind of find. But when it's your first campaign, I think there is a big learning curve.
Yeah.
When it comes to that. But,
yeah, like you're saying, I think for Indiegogo, it feels like you kind of have to have your audience ready to go when you launch. Yeah. Whereas Kickstarter is definitely more, hey, I'm just going to go look for something, and they're finding random people finding just your book out of the blue. So,
right,
definitely learning as they go.
Well, okay, so tell us what Dig Two Graves is about, because I was reading the premise, and I'll let you tell them what it is, because it sounds very, very interesting, man. So go ahead. Why don't you tell us what it's about?
So Dig Two Graves was my attempt at one of those. I really like the 70s, 80s, like revenge genre films, like Mad Max or Rolling Thunder, a little more obscure. And I kind of wanted to take that like gritty 70s kind of story and then just bring it up with a modern twist. Keep some of that noir element, that mystery. So Dig Two Graves is about a soldier who returns home and her family's gunned down, and she has no idea what's going on, why it happened. So she has to discover who did this and why. And then around her, we have stories of several side characters whose stories are all going to be playing out in different ways as well. So as the reader reads, it's not just a point A to point B revenge story. There's a lot going on in this one. A lot gets introduced in this newest book, book 2, that I think people will kind of start to see how the world kind of branches out from just that one moment.
Yeah, I'm looking at some of the pages. Look amazing, man. I think your artist who you teamed up with, he's from the Philippines, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about how you found him, how you guys collaborate. I mean, you're here, he's in the Philippines. How do you guys work that out?
So yeah, Vaughn Randall does the pencils and inks, and he's amazing. Everything he touches is great. And then he actually got me in touch with Kevin DeCastro, who did the colors. They had worked together on another indie project, and they work really well together. And really, my best tool for finding artists was Facebook. I just saw him on one of the Facebook groups. I think he had done like a Punisher. Some like samples for that, just fan art type stuff. And then I reached out to him, looked through some of the stuff he had done, other indie books. I was like, this guy's amazing. So yeah, I mean, it's literally as simple as that. And pretty much everybody I find is because I find them in some of the art groups or like DeviantArt, and I'm like, hey, you taking work? I'm looking for a variant cover or something. So
right.
And I've been lucky. I found a few guys right before they got to Marvel and DC before I couldn't afford them anymore. So I got at least one of them before then.
Listen, there's this one page where you have the ambulance coming out, and it looks photorealistic without looking stiff, if that makes sense. There's a lot of action and the fluidity in the artworks, which I love. I love a lot. I really. This looks amazing. Are you now okay? So it's the first 2 issues are on Indiegogo, right? So you're collecting both issues in one graphic novel, and that'll be on this campaign. What are you thinking for the other 10 issues? Are you doing a crowdfunding campaign for each, or how are you working that out?
Like I said, as I've been going along, I've been talking to people who do who do either Kickstarter exclusively, Indiegogo exclusively, and there's a few who do both because they're under that same thing. There's two different audiences, so we're just going to try to put it on both at the same time, so those two audiences can go have the option. I'm kind of debating which one to do. I might lean towards that one, depending on how much of a demand for Indiegogo or Kickstarter I'm getting. Because again, like you said, I think some of it's the app. I know a lot of people it's the payment method. Some people prefer to pay right away. Some people like the Kickstarter option where you don't pay till it's over. So it might just be easier to run them simultaneously and let people pick. But I don't want people to feel like they get lost, like there's only one or there's just too much advertisement. So it's kind of in the air. But I'm hoping I'll have a better idea once we end this one and go from there.
Right. So yeah, that's the question that I wanted to ask you. You started out with Kickstarter. You decided to take a chance with Indiegogo. You said it's been a learning curve. What have you learned today that's going to make a difference the next time you run a campaign on Indiegogo?
So it seems the big one, and everybody keeps telling me, is getting like the email list built up before you launch. Definitely ride that preview page for a few weeks. Get your audience going before you launch. Another one is, I guess for me, I put a lot of attention into like Facebook and Instagram, which seems to draw in more Kickstarter fans, where I was told a lot of the Indiegogo fans, at least from other creators, they say they have better luck with Twitter, which I haven't used as much. So I've been trying to invite people get more eyes on it. So it's just little things, little tips other Indiegogo creators have given me, try to incorporate that. Some of the downside is a lot of it is prep work before you launch. So that's putting the bank for next time, unfortunately.
Right. Exactly.
Makes a lot of sense. For those watching right now on our podcast, we are talking to Jim Tanner. He's the creator of Dig Two Graves. The graphic novel is on right now on Indiegogo. It's the first two books, 80 pages of story plus. And so now this is good because every backer also receives one 8 by 11, I'm going to say, full color glossy print. So for every person who pledges, you're going to get this really cool pinups. I mean, some of these mini poster sets also that you can also get is one of the I guess not goals. What am I saying? The mini poster set, are those by the same artist, or did you kind of commission these from somebody else?
No, so yeah, a lot of those. So a couple of those are from the variant covers we did, and then some were just variant art. So they're all different artists. I like to just reach out to artists and say, hey, this is the character, this is the story, give me your take. So in the mini poster sets, you kind of got like the more animated, not anime per se style. You have a very like a portrait style, the action pose. One's by Nathan Swordsey. He does those kind of covers for DC, where he takes like classic pinup with lots of tattoos. He adds stuff like that. The one that we're giving away is the one by Aaron Bartling. He's been doing work right now for Ronin Ninja Turtles. And I love his stuff. It's that very realistic painted look, or whatever you call that. So, and that one has a big response. So that one, I figured, if you're joining the Indiegogo, you're just going to get that one when you back the graphic novel right away.
That's awesome. You have some really cool. You have a cameo in future Dig Two Graves books. You have a speaking cameo in future Dig Two Graves. So you have some really cool stuff here. The cameo in future Dig Two Graves. So that'll be maybe like an extra in the book.
Yeah, so I've already written out the next few issues, and then I've outlined the rest. But when I do, I have characters that are set aside so if somebody, because those are usually like high-end perk tiers that are pretty common. So if somebody wanted to back that, I want them to feel like they're getting their money's worth. They can come to me and say, hey, I want to be a bad guy, or I want to be shot, or I want to be this or that. So I leave a few characters, they're not essential, but they're there and they're loose. So if somebody gets that perk, I can put them in wherever they feel like they'd want to go. And then they get like a speaking role, and I can adjust, what they say to kind of fit them, if they want to say something cheeky or not,
That's cool, man. Yeah, no, this looks like a fun book. Definitely a fun book. If you guys are watching, definitely go to Indiegogo, type in Dig Two Graves graphic novel, and you'll come right up to the page. There are 10 days left of the campaign, and you're fully funded at this point.
Yes.
Now, are you doing any stretch goals or anything like that, Jim?
Yeah, so I hadn't planned anything specific out, but obviously I want to offer something to people. I actually sent out a tweet and an update asking people what they wanted to see. So I'm kind of taking, there's always the traditional stickers, magnets, bookmarks, things like that. They're fun. But if somebody wants to see something really unique, I'm always open to suggestions, within the financial realm, obviously, but
Right.
but yeah, I kind of want to see people have the if they want something specific, I want to make sure I'm giving them what they want, not just the traditional stuff if they're bored with it.
Sweet.
So I'm hoping to announce that probably within tonight or tomorrow.
So what's your goal for the entire project? You come to the conclusion you're gonna. How many graphic novels are you planning on incorporating from this whole series?
So I'm kind of waiting to see how this one goes. I'm obviously going to do like a floppy for each one. If this does well, and there's more of a demand for every two, because again, I write pretty long. I do about double issue for every single one. Because as an indie creator, it's like, well, I got to give them more bang for their buck. So if there's enough demand, I'll do another one. If people say, hey, next one, do maybe 3 or 4 issues, we'll go that route. But yeah, right now the next plan is to at least just do the funding for each floppy, and then if people want it, I'll definitely just keep putting the graphic novel out, or I'll wait and do one ginormous one. But I don't know if I can do that. That would be a pretty heavy one at that point. But
Yeah, those shipping costs go crazy when you start doing that.
shipping out like the omnibus.
Yeah.
No, definitely. Do you have a website where they can maybe grab the book if they miss any of these campaigns?
Not yet. It's in the works. So that was another reason for the Indiegogo, because some people did reach out and said, hey, I didn't get on the Kickstarter. How can I get on the book still? And just it's a little bit easier, something to keep track of it. So that was another reason for the Indiegogo campaign. But there should be one shortly. Like I said, right now it's kind of being built. And I don't know what the actual web name is if we got what we needed. I have talked to my guy about that. I'm the least technical person ever. I have to have somebody help me with that.
Fair enough. No, that's good stuff.
Outstanding. So this campaign ends in how many days now?
I believe 10.
10 days. 10 days. So how long ago did you close out on your Kickstarter campaign?
I want to say we went about a month in between the two.
Okay.
I'd have to look again. It was early July, so somewhere around there. Yeah, I should know the dates better, but they're all starting to blur together now.
Right. So now you did talk about the differences of the two. So what were some of the learnings that you'd had running from your first Kickstarter campaign, some of the things that you eliminated for your second campaign, and the things that you kept?
Again, for that one, just building up an audience before you launch is pretty important. I think I get a little impatient and want to just get going because it's like, it's put together, it's ready, let's go.
Right.
Some of the money I put into advertising, I don't feel was helpful the first go around, so that was eliminated. We put some money towards like Facebook advertisement, things like that, and I don't think it drew any attention.
Right.
So it was kind of focusing more on things like the Instagram, do my own Facebook posts and just doing a lot of cross promotion, which I hadn't done before, working with other creators, doing updates with them. We actually did a cross promotion with a book where they got a copy of one of ours and we got a copy of theirs to give to actual backers.
Right.
And I think that really helped as well. That's a little bit easier, I noticed, on Kickstarter so much as it has been for Indiegogo, or at least the responses I got were a little more favorable on Kickstarter.
Outstanding.
Yeah, no, Kickstarter. I mean, I was looking at the campaign that you guys had for the second book of the Kickstarter. You guys did great. It was really, really, you did really, really great on that campaign. So kudos to you, man. And hopefully this one picks up. I mean, it's 10 days left, and hopefully people watching now, can go and check it out. The link is right there in the chat. If you guys are watching, check it out. Go check that out. Now, I also see that you have SN Comics, which I would love to sit down because you're going to have to come back so we can talk more about that. But your link tree's on there, and you're on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. You want to give them those handles so that they know where to go and find you?
Yeah, the good one is the Linktree, because I'm in the process of trying to rename everything so it's consistent. Like Twitter is SN Comic Arts, Instagram is Sketchy Nuke, and then Facebook you can either do myself, just Jim Tanner, or you can do our the page of SN Comics is on there as well.
Outstanding. So this is your elevator pitch. Sell it. Go for it.
Oh, my favorite, the elevator pitch. You would think after all this time I wouldn't suck at it so much, but I do. Comic-Cons are the worst. I'm like, okay, hold on, and doing one of those with them. So I try to tell people it's like it's 80s revenge movies met with like Kill Bill, Mad Max, you know, with a dash of noir. So I've been trying to give people visual representations that they might be familiar with. So it's very dark, it's very gritty. It's a slow burn a bit at times because I want the characters to really breathe and I want people to really feel for everybody.
Right.
But yeah, that's my take on it.
There you go. So if you haven't pledged, check it out. The link is in the chat and it's also in the profile. This is Jim Tanner. Thank you again for being on Catch the Craze. We wish you much success on your campaign, and we want you to come back and talk about your comic book and everything else that you're doing outside of your campaigns. So you're always welcome back, buddy.
I appreciate it.
Much success to you. And again, thank you for coming on Catch the Craze.
Thanks to you again, guys. That was fun.
You got it, brother.
Thank you, Jim.
Talk to you soon.
Care,
And so that was Jim Tanner. And if you haven't checked it out, the link is there. Don't be afraid to check out the his campaign on Indiegogo. Actually, and I always do this. I always leave the images on my face. I don't know why. I got to see this. Herb. Let's see. Where's that?
Make sure you follow Jim on Instagram at Sketchy.
Yes, it took me a second to find him.
Yes.
Yes.
It took you a second to find him, you said?
Yeah, because there's different names on different handles. But yeah, check it out.
His Indiegogo has a link tree there that you guys can just click and you'll be able to find him in one spot.
Absolutely, and he's picked a really good team to work with because I mean the coloring is crazy.
Oh, it's amazing.
Fantastic. But yeah, so yeah, that was Jim Tanner. Again, this is Catch the Craze. If you like this episode, give us a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed to the show. Help us get monetized. We are a little, 598 away from being monetized. So help us grow this channel. The more people that subscribe, the more exposure we give to our indie talented creators that come on our show and look to us to help them grow their platforms and expose their products to you, the consumer. So, and if you want to be a guest on Catch the Craze, it's as simple as DMing us, hitting us up, simple as that. And we keep it moving. But yeah, so this was a really good show.
Yeah. And definitely come back on Friday. We're going to have Chris Moses on the show. He's the creator of Alpha. So check that out. And,
also Thursday.
Alpha, I'm sorry. So check that out. And then, like Sam said, subscribe. Make sure you subscribe, like, comment, all that.
Also Thursday, I'll be live 8 p.m. Thursday night, 8 p.m. And I'll be on with Dustin Brunel. Yes, Dustin Brunel will be talking about his campaign, which ends on Friday. So we're going on a 24th hour with him, 8 p.m. You know, I'm going to hook up my brother and go live with him. It'll just be me and him, one-on-one, spotlight, head-to-head, mano-y-mano. And, we're going to try to, even though he killed it on his campaign, he can accept a little more donations. But yes, so 8 p.m. Thursday night, I will be live with Dustin Brunel. Look for the link on social media. So that's going to be cool. And then Saturday, I'm going live drawing an art piece of the Crazies for somebody who got the commission piece. So I'll be drawing it live on Saturday of the Crazies. Don't know what look I'm going to do or how I'm going to put all the characters together, but I'll be doing it live. And I'll be taking feedback. So if you're here Saturday, I haven't even picked the time. What's a good time to go Saturday, bro?
That is a good time. That is a good question. Yeah, no, that's a good question.
Because most people are out during the day, so maybe at night. Maybe I'll do a night time.
You gotta be careful too, because people may want to go out at night.
The freaks come out at night.
So,
the freaks come out at night.
Up now, there's a big movie out there right now, Shang-Chi. So you got to be careful with that.
Shang-Chi. You know what I'm drinking right now?
Oh.
I'm drinking Set a Home.
Set a Home.
Moscato.
Yeah, there you go. Anyway, yeah, big shout out to them. Go to check out his Kickstarter, Babes, Gore, and Dinosaurs.
Gore, and Dinosaurs.
Yes. And don't forget our guest that we just had on the show, Jim Tanner, Dig 2 Graves on Indiegogo. So check that out.
Yes.
He's already reached his goal, but he's going to start hitting some stretch goals possibly. And it's an 80-page plus graphic novel that you can get. Plus, you get an 8x11 full-color glossy print.
Yes.
for every backer. So make sure you
Yes.
go to Indiegogo. Links are in the chat, and they will be in the description.
Yes,
So check that out.
I want to say thank you to Gilly Rodriguez and to Arielis Delgado. Thank you, Arielis, for backing Forbidden tonight. I appreciate you. One love, thank you so much. And this is another episode of Catch the Craze podcast. George and I have another guest that we're pre-recording.
It's Arielis Delgado.
Arielis. I would say Arielis.
Arielis, yeah. No,
Yeah, I know.
Sorry,
Arielis.
I do it too. I mess up names.
Arelis.
Arelis Delgado.
Delgado. All right,
Big
Arielis.
shout out to her. Thank you very much, Arelis. Appreciate
It's
your
like I call him
support.
Jorge Medina. Hey.
Gilbert,
Yes.
thank you so much for your continuing support. And anybody who was watching behind the scenes, thank you guys so much for tuning in yet again, listening to our crazy asses talk about comics.
Yeah, comics
but yeah,
and
dude.
vomit and poop. Oh my.
Oh,
So with that said, I am Sam the Crazy Man Vern.
George.
We are.
It's just easy. It's not.
Crazy.